early morning top four challenge right here. Ollie Watkins with the goods yet again for Aston Villa. Boy, what you saying? Is he a guy who can make it in a top six side? Is he Champions equality?
I wouldn't go that far yet. I mean, I think the guy's an Arsenal fan, right? If I
He is.
remember
He
correctly,
is.
yeah.
He said his dream is to play for Arsenal.
Yeah, and Arsenal now are a Champions League team. So I guess maybe. But I mean Arsenal have what? How many strikers they have? Jesus, they have Nketiah, they have Balogun coming back. Although there's questions as to whether he'll stay with no guarantees of a starting spot. I mean, on form, he's probably the best, let's say, English striker. No, is that even correct? Because there's Harry Kane. So,
I mean, that's
but
even if he's gonna rep England, he can rep USA.
what? No, that's Balogun. I'm talking about Harry Kane and then Ollie Watkins. But
Well, I thought he was
in
talking about.
in the Premier League, and I'm not counting the French league as well. But I mean, I want to touch on John McGinn. That's how I mean, he's Scottish, right? So McGinn, he's I mean, I know he's a guy you like quite a bit, and we know he's playing further forward, and he's had a really good game, and that's what 2 games now past the since the international break where he scored against Chelsea, obviously, and I think he's had a hand in 2 of the goals, right? If I remember correctly. So I I wrote him off under Gerrard because I just didn't. I mean, even the Villa fans were turning against it. I mean that tells you much, right? Villa were in a relegation battle, and even their fans were turning on John McGinn. So I'll give him credit where it's due. He had a good game. I guess that's partly down to the manager as well. I mean, talk about Unai Emery too, right? He failed at Arsenal, but that doesn't mean he's a bad manager, right? There's fits for not just for players. There's fits for managers. I think that just proves it the most what Unai Emery is doing right now.
Yeah, the whole team is flourishing under him for real. I think he's gotten them to gel well. He's made some good signings. Alex Moreno is coming in and he's doing a shift as well. That was a nice assist by him. So I mean, yeah, Unai Emery looks like he's here to stay. I mean, Villa really look like they're making a charge for Europe. So that's exciting. And you know how Unai Emery likes the Europa League.
Well, yeah, they could theoretically get into the Europa League, but they've played 2 more games than everybody around them. I think at least Brighton. I mean, I guess we played, so there's only 1 game. But I think Champions League might be a bit pushing it for Villa. Europa League is certainly up for grabs, though. And yeah, like you said, Unai Emery has won it 3 times in a row with Seville and once with Villarreal too. So, but on the other hand, I mean, what happened to Newcastle? Right,
That's what I was about to ask you. What does this mean for their top four chances?
I mean, thankfully Tottenham did Tottenham, so it Newcastle didn't get too much of a damage. But I mean, this we knew this was going to be a tough game, right? But I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a game where this season, I mean, where Newcastle were just dominated and played off the park in all phases of play, even starting with the defense all the way up to the attacking department.
Yeah, very disappointing from Newcastle, I'd say. I mean, this I did not see coming at all. I at least saw a little bit of a competitive fight from both sides. I didn't expect Villa to dominate to this extent.
Right. And this for me is probably the best. Ideally, a draw would have been the best, but this is the second best result for me. I mean, Newcastle, it halts their momentum. Now they go to play Tottenham, or they invite Tottenham, I should say, and they travel to Everton. They invite again the worst team in the league, Southampton, and then they play Arsenal. So some tough games coming up there.
Yeah, the chase for Europe is on. On another side, chasing Europe, Brighton, they got the win at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. with an absolutely incredible goal from the young Paraguayan. Another Paraguayan bursting onto the scene, by the way, in the Premier League.
How can they just be producing talent or not producing because they sign these guys? How can they just be identifying these guys? I mean, what the hell is a Enciso, right? I mean, what even is that name?
Yeah, like
Like,
where do you find these guys for real? I mean, even
yeah,
Caicedo as well, he just was on top of it every single time. He was brilliant.
Caicedo we should have signed for 4 mil, but this is the thing, right? Those players never get signed directly to, very rarely, I should say, to a top six club. They have to go through one of these so-called smaller sides. You know, Brighton. I mean, are they a smaller side now even? So, but what most impressed me about Brighton was they lost two players to injury. Evan Ferguson, who's again making a name for himself as a youngster, and Joel Veltman. It's just it was, and then they moved Pascal Gross out wide to as a wing back, and Cecil was brought on right for Veltman, and how they just seamlessly went about it. That just tells me. I mean that's the difference, right, with Chelsea and Brighton. At Chelsea, you can put anybody anywhere, and nothing seems to be working. Right, there's no combination, there's no flow. Whereas at Brighton, no matter who you slot in anywhere, they seem to be gelling. They seem to understand each other. They seem to have the chemistry and the and just understanding in general. So it was, I mean, maybe. And I know you were happy with this result because you know you obviously had some financial implications on this, but no surprises here at all.
Yeah, and they were dominant the whole game. And as you said, I mean, the two four-star subs came on and did the damage. So impressive stuff from Brighton. I'm really interested to see how they finish out the season and how they carry on into next season because they seem to just have a very good system going.
Yeah, and I bring this up the force changes because the next game we'll touch on was heavily impacted by the four subs, right? The Tottenham game. Tottenham went up 1-0. Good play from Perisic. That's probably the first time I've seen Perisic and Son link up this season. But then Longley goes off due to injury. Longley was the one who put in that ball, long ball through Perisic, who got him behind and cut back the ball for Son. And of course, with no left-footed center halves on their bench, Sanchez comes on. And even when he was coming on, he was getting booed, right? And I understand he was. I don't know if he still is, but he was their record signing at 40 million pounds, I think, 7 years ago, or 7 or 8 years ago. And he's made, I mean, he made the crucial error for the second goal for Bournemouth, and he was booed off, and he was cheered as he was coming off, as his name was announced. I know you have experience with that with Granit Xhaka, but that just doesn't sit right with me. You know, I no matter how bad, okay, he's played bad, and it's his fault ultimately, but it's your own player at the end of the day.
Right. It's not like he's going out there and not trying, and it's not like he's on purpose like disrespecting the club or anything. So I get that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is, but he's just that bad. I mean, I don't know, but I just doesn't sit right with me. But then, of course, Bournemouth had injuries too. They had Matthias Viña, who actually scored the equalizer. It was a great finish. Go off and replaced by Adam Smith. And shortly after that, they scored through Solanke, who I actually want to give him a man of the match. Solanke isn't known to be a prolific nor an efficient striker, right? The guy, there's a reason why he was sold and shipped off from both Liverpool and Chelsea. And today, he did everything right. That the great toe poke finish past Lloris for his own goal, the great pass to set up Vina for the equalizer, and that composure to find Dango Watara in the dying minutes of the game, dying seconds of the game, I should say. I want to give him my man of the match. I think he was given the man of the match, but yeah, I'll be very vexed if he did that against us because I know that's not him. He's not this prolific. He's not this efficient in front of goal. But yesterday, he certainly was, and I am not complaining because both of our top four competitors dropping the 3 points. Hey,
Yeah, right time to do it for your sake. That's for sure.
one player, what I mentioned on Tottenham side, it looks like Son is. He looked lively, at least in the first half. He seems to be getting back in form, coinciding with Conte's departure. So just something to keep an eye out for. 2 goals in a row, I think, in 2 games.
So do you think Tottenham are now gonna fumble the top four?
I mean, they have a very tough schedule coming up. They travel away to Newcastle, and then they invite United to, of course, their stadium. Is it called the New White Hart Lane, or is it the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? I forget.
I think it's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, technically.
I mean, talk about the worst name to pick in. I mean, anyway, and then they travel to Anfield. These 3 games are going to be crucial. And then after that, the schedule kind of eases up because they invite Palace, who look to be safe now. They go to Villa. It's going to be a tough game. Okay, I get it. But then they invite Brentford, and then last game of the season is against Leeds at Elland Road. I think they need at least 6 points from the next 3 games. They need to beat Newcastle. They need to beat us to have a chance. And I don't think they're expecting much at Anfield, to be honest. So at least 6 points. If not, then I think they're going to be out of it.
There you go. Tottenham out the top four chase. Now moving on to the top of the league, or almost at the top of the league at this point.
Soon
I'm
to be
still
top of the league.
I'm leaving it at the technicalities still. I'm going back to my vibe at the start of the season. We're getting back to the technicals. Arsenal still sit top. So Man City are currently second, but they put themselves in a good step towards attempting to overtake Arsenal, and they got themselves a 3-1 win against Leicester. On top of it completely in the first half. Do you feel like Leicester actually could have made a comeback there towards the end? There was a scare.
Yeah, I mean, certainly because Ederson's not the type to make those saves. Allison, if that was Allison, he makes those saves. It's a 50-50 for Allison, but not for Ederson. But I think that speaks more volumes to how Leicester have been playing this season, just low on confidence. They never looked in it, right? Especially in the first half. They looked scared. And I think that showed in the chance for Madison.
Yeah, I mean, there really was not much hope in this one, to be honest, especially after going down 3-0. It was basically over at that point. But surprised they were even to get some chances at the end of it, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really could have ended in a disaster for City because they obviously took their foot off the gas, right? And they took off Rodri, who's been playing almost every game. They took off John Stones, Holland. I mean, pretty much everybody that you would expect to be subbed off. And yeah, it almost came back to bite them. But luckily for them, it didn't. I'm now at the stage where prior to the international break, I was hoping City. I mean, this feels wrong to say, but I mean, I don't really care if City win the league. The only bummer or the only downside would be that they would be equaling our record, the only record of 3 league wins in a row. But now, after watching them in the Champions League, this might be their year. And you know why I'm saying this? Because we're still the only team to win the treble, right?
I knew that was coming.
And the way it's looking right now, I mean, who's gonna stop them? FA Cup, I mean, they got Sheffield United, 99%. They're going through to the final. I guess it's down to us if we can make it to the final to stop them from winning the treble. But in the Champions League, I mean, Real Madrid don't look as convincing. I mean, they never did last year anyway, but they still ended up winning it. So all hope lies on. I'm I've lost my faith in Arsenal now, and we'll touch on that later. Right now, actually,
Wait, but hold on. Is this you saying no that you want Arsenal to win the league?
let's.
Just say it. Come on.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't care if Arsenal won the league, if not for you and the fans. Like I just, I mean, I hate City fans too, but I can ignore them because I've always looked at them as kind of below us. But I mean, Arsenal do have pedigree and history, and for them to have fallen so hard and to be making that comeback, I mean, it's obviously made the fans so. You know what I'm trying to say. So
Rightfully proud. That's what you're trying to say. I
not
mean,
not proud, but
this gives us an opportunity to talk about glory in modern day football, like in recent history. It's been 20 years, So
yeah,
what we can enjoy this. Like you should be wanting Arsenal to win, bro. Come on, like
no,
there's
no.
obviously rivalry. There's rivalry. Arsenal Man U rivalry will get it. But the treble, bro. The treble is on the
That's
line.
it. That's the only thing that's making me favor Arsenal right now. I'm never gonna say I want Arsenal or City to win the league. I would if I had to choose. I mean, Gary Neville's famously said it, right? This is between City and Liverpool. It's like choosing between two men to nick your wife. And just we'll touch on Arsenal now because that's two games in a row where you've dropped a two-goal lead in two away matches. I'm you know where I'm going with this. I'm flying deuces. Does that mean you guys are gonna finish second? And
Well,
and how on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your nerve meter like?
bro, 10. It's 10. Like, bro, this is like I was thinking it during the match. I said, I've seen it all with Arsenal. I have seen it all. I've seen us be tie in a game like this and come back in the last minute and score as we saw against Bournemouth. I've seen us disappointed and hold out to the draw like we did today. I've seen us even lose in the last minute from a position like this. So I said to myself, you know what? Like, yeah, I've experienced it all. So I just need to hold on and just take what's coming. Just accept whatever the result is. But when you lose in this fashion, leading 2-0, such an opportunity to take over the game and just kill it off. They couldn't get near us in the first 30 minutes. But then it came down to just one error from a man who has been excellent, excellent all season. Two actually players who have been excellent all season. But they are the types of players who have proven prone to that one mistake. Even though their overall game is a huge influence on how we play and allows us to play the way that we do, those crucial mistakes cost us in this game. And that's Party giving away the ball to Declan Rice. And that's Gabriel with the missed time tackle in the box, the rash challenge. Just what he does. He's rash, which is why when Saliba is there, it helped a lot with the cover. But still, just disappointing after another 2-0 lead. I mean, I'm still vexed because that goal in the lead up to the Jared or there was a foul in the lead up to the Jared Bowen goal on Jesus. But that just breezed by. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that that was the reason we lost the game. But that stuff is just frustrating.
I think how big of a miss was in? I mean, we mentioned it in the or you mentioned it in the preview that block in the midfield of Zinchenko and Partey. How big of a miss was Zinchenko in that department? Because Partey, rightfully so, had a terrible game, and Arteta has come out and I would say fired some shots at him. I mean, he singled him out as saying, the guy who was flicking the balls and stuff. I mean, how big of a mix was Zinchenko? Because Partey did not look the same without him in there.
Well, I don't want to say that Party. I feel like Party started the game well though. I think it was just completely a mental lapse. He got complacent. I don't think it was necessarily just down to Zinchenko missing or not. I thought we were playing very well. There was no reason for us to collapse like that. Party was just, it was completely a mental lapse because you saw it in the pass right after that too. He was playing slowly. He misplaced the pass. I think it was to Martinelli. It was just a step off. So, and that all happened after that first goal, that penalty. Well, really in the lead up to that penalty. So I don't think it's all down to just missing Zinchenko because we were on top. We didn't we didn't deserve, well, I don't want to say we didn't deserve, but we shouldn't have lost it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it tells everything when you say that you've lost. I mean, it wasn't a loss, but it's as good as a loss, you know. So
We lost the lead, you know? It's different from a
yeah,
comeback.
I mean, yeah, I mean, well, either way, it's as good as a loss in a title race with City in such good form as they are right now. But I mean, I think what's more concerning to me would be how Arsenal didn't create anything when they were pegged back 2-2. I think even you would have expected some kind of response from the team. And for me, that's what will be concerning because I mean neither did West Ham. So I guess you could say you you blocked out West Ham's threats pretty well. But going forward, there was nothing. And there were
Well, at the end of the day, we shouldn't have even been in that position because it really comes down at the end of the day to really what you keep saying is that Arsenal struggled to keep the clean sheets. We went up 2-0 in the first 10 minutes. The game should be locked up. We shouldn't be conceding after that. The game should just be done, locked up. But we didn't do it.
yeah, and I think I think Saliba's a miss, obviously. I'm not picking on Holding. I don't think he had a terrible game, but I do think it would have been a bit different had Saliba been. I mean, I saw a stat the other day. Arsenal had throughout the season two changes to their back four throughout the whole season. And that's remarkable. And we're playing. Arsenal have played 31 games, so I think, and there was a change, so it must have increased. But two changes in 20 plus games, that's remarkable. And then since the international break, we've been seeing some some fall from grace from some of the defenders, and it shows in the clean sheets. But I agree with you. I mean, I said it. West Ham are so poor, you're going to be running away with the game, and it looked like you were going to, and it should have been that way, and it didn't. And also, there was a chance to just outright win the game with the penalty from Saka, right? I mean, again, it's fine margins, but that's the first time an Arsenal player has missed, not saved or off the post, has missed since Santi Cazorla in 2015 against West Brom.
I mean, it's that at this point where the penalty is concerned, it's hindsight when you talk about if you want to say Saka shouldn't have taken it, but the
No,
reality
I mean he should have.
he
He
should have.
scored everything. Yeah,
He's been scoring, yeah. So I mean, it's just sad that it happened to him on such a crucial game in such a crucial moment that's so costly that again he has to go through that experience, that learning process of missing in these crucial moments. And you just had that feeling. It's like, okay, now is another crucial moment again for him to just solidify the game. It's not like we're up 3-0 or anything. This is to run away with it. And for them to score right after that was it's just a killer.
well, I don't want to put you in too much of a depression. So something to lighten your mood. We dominated Forest.
Yeah, that don't really that don't really help still, but yes, moving along to Man United's dominance over Nottingham Forest. 2-0. What can you say? I mean, I was not expecting that much dominance. I was expecting some actual scares because it was a whole change. The both centre backs gone missing. It was the Lindelof Maguire backline, so you knew some nerves were about to play. But no, clean sheet was kept, and even in the front line, you would have expected some difficulty scoring, missing your top striker Marcus Rashford, but no, again was able to collect 2 goals in the process. So I mean, what does this say? What does this say? Is this saying that Man U do actually have the depth?
Well, it was good to see Anthony stepping up, and I want to mention this about him because at first, I mean, I criticized him. Right, he didn't seem to be getting into the games. He seemed to be in his own speed, kind of, and now, not just this game, but the past few games, including the Europa League as well, he's been very good, very good, and he was unlucky to not have a goal or an assist to show for it. And today it showed with a goal, good follow through from Martial's shot, and a great piece of play to slot in Dallo for his first ever Premier League goal. And he deserves it. It's been coming. He's been narrowly missing the target for more than a handful of times, and he's growing into the league. I can see it, and we miss him badly when he's not there. And I'll give him credit where it's due. Another player that I want to mention is Lindelof. Lindelof was a starter for ever since he came in, really, and he's a captain of Swedish national team, and he's fallen off the pecking order. He's the fourth center half now. He hasn't had much game time this year. I'll admit that Forest didn't offer anything. Awani was stuck onto Maguire, trying to exploit the lack of pace. Didn't work out so well after the yellow card in the first 3 minutes. But yeah, for Lindelof to come in and be very solid, uh, composed on the ball as well, getting into good areas to defend the ball into the box. He's a solid defender. I mean, a lot's been made about how our two starting center halves are going to be missing possibly for the rest of the season. But Lindelof is, like I said, he's a captain of the Swedish national team. He's not a bad defender. He obviously has his weaknesses. That's why he'll never be a top class defender. But he's not this some championship level defender that people seem to be making him like look, and he's not. So I want to give him a shout out too. But on a slightly negative end, I mean, what's happened with Jadon Sancho? The guy doesn't, especially in the first half, the guy just looks a bit slow to everything. His passes are a bit slow. His decision making is a bit slow. He doesn't take on shots, and even when he does, it's very tame. I mean, what's happened to this guy? I don't know.
But remember, he was struggling with some fitness issues some time ago. Do you think that this is kind of like a layoff effect, as if to say he's still getting into his groove, getting into his rhythm?
I mean, I'm sorry, but Jadon Sancho doesn't deserve some special treatment or excuses just because he's had some issues. Like he's been starting a fair few games in a row now, and he still doesn't look up to speed. He had a good game against Everton, but everybody had a good game against Everton. Forest, he should have had a better game. And I just don't understand why. I don't understand what's kind of that blockage in his mind. There seems to be something that's not allowing him to get to end the things like quicker. And I just want to know what it is because we still don't know what happened to him, why he was sent out to Holland, why he was gone. I mean, he was gone for a good 2 3 months in the middle of the season. But I mean, other than that, 2-0 win for us solidifies our position in top four. And I want to say one thing about Forest. I used to despise Burnley. And by the way, congrats to Burnley for coming up to the Premier League. Vincent Company, his stock can't be any higher right now. So we'll see how he does in the Premier League. But I used to hate Burnley for how they played. Right, they wanted to hoof the ball up field and use their physicalities, land set pieces. What Forest did today was worse than Burnley. I thought they were better than this. Forest were playing League One level football. They offered nothing. I don't know a lot's been made about their home form, but they have some tough games coming up at home. They have to play Arsenal. I think they have to play Chelsea at home too. Or no, they actually play Chelsea. They have to go to Stamford Bridge. So I think it's Brighton and Arsenal at home. And they were so poor. I, I'm actually scared for them. They have 7 games left. Like they haven't sacked Steve Cooper. The owners come out and said he has his full faith in Steve Cooper, but it looks bleak.
Yeah, really not looking promising for them at all. So what you say, no chance for them?
Well, I wouldn't say no chance because they've shown they can do it. I mean, they've beat Liverpool at home. They drew against Chelsea, but they've shown they can do it, and it's going to be the home form, right? Their away form is atrocious, but yeah, I think they have a very good chance of going down. Them and Leicester are the two teams I'm very worried about that I wouldn't have said maybe a month ago.
Leicester would be interesting. I mean, trying to pick up like a Madison or somebody like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean that squad is loaded with talent, and I think the problem for them is they just haven't had any fresh faces in, and when there's needed to be changes, there hasn't been any changes. The quality is still there. They finished 5th. They were twice in a row. They were in the Champions League spot for the most of the season until the last few games of the season. So the quality is obviously there. It's kind of gone old. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but something needs changing and it hasn't worked for Leicester.
Well, let's see. I at that point, with that note, I guess I'll hope they get relegated still. No disrespect to Leicester fans or anything like that, but I guess that is a respect to you guys because we want some of your players.
Yeah, I mean they have the 7th highest bill in the league. That's obviously outside the top 6, obviously the big 6, and then it's Leicester. So they're going to be in big trouble if they get relegated, and they're going to have to sell. Madison's not going to stick in the championship. Neither is Barn. Neither is
Ndidi.
Ndidi. So I mean, Soyuncu, he's been out of favor, but he showed very good quality before, right? Neither is Castagne. I mean, all these guys are gonna be able to come in and do a shift, even at a big club. And Tielemans is most likely leaving on a free too. A lot's been made about his defensive abilities, capabilities, his mentality, but his ability is undeniable.
Well, let's see. That's all we have time for today. Guys, thanks for tuning in as always. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. Remember to subscribe, to leave comments, and share with your friends. Follow us on social media at FOTBpod. Don't forget to leave a review, rating, and most importantly, don't forget to turn on those notifications. Join us again next time as we discuss the highly anticipated upcoming Premier League action. Thanks again as always. See you then.